And so this 37-old millennial actually purchased his first Mac computer. And so here we have my very first Apple laptop, which is going to be the Apple MacBook Air, the M4 edition. So there's a lot of hype around the MacBook and just Mac OS. I am really excited to learn a new operating system based off of what my friends and my family has told me. Using a Mac machine like Mac OS is just night and day difference from having to use a Windows machine. And that really excites me because I'm a tech nerd and I love to have just like new things, new technology that I can learn and play with. And so I'm super excited to get my hands on this MacBook Air, not just because I want to learn something new about computers, but also because this is now going to be my dedicated on-the-go video editing machine. Now, I do have this thing right here, which is going to be my iBuyPower Slate 8 Mesh. It's a gaming computer, and that's what I've been doing my video editing on so far. But the fact that I have to do video editing exclusively in my office where I do my professional work as well as my YouTube hobby work, it kind of gets kind of suffocating to be in here all the time. And so that's why I purchased this MacBook Air, is because when my girlfriend is out getting her hair done, or maybe I find myself at a coffee shop after doing a day of A-roll or B-roll, I can pull out this MacBook Air and start editing right there. I find that as I personally learn or personally grow doing YouTube video editing, content creation, that there's always going to be a gap between what I expected versus what I need. And so a lot of the times when I do B-roll, I'll go do B-roll or A-roll somewhere else, and then I'll come back and then I'll be looking through my content and then I'm like, dang it, I forgot something. And so that's what I'm hoping that this MacBook Air is going to be doing. I'm hoping that if I am out getting B-roll, or maybe I should say when I'm out getting B-roll, I'm able to go ahead and just kind of put my thoughts all onto the device and then start to do some edits so that way I can contemplate, is this enough? Because I want to continue to provide better quality videos for you. All right, no more origin stories on to why I purchased this MacBook Air. Let's go ahead and start the unboxing process. All right, so here we have our MacBook Air. And so this box is very simple, very Apple-esque. And you can see here, there's not too much to actually see on the actual MacBook. I did cover up some of the serial numbers here just for, just privacy. But this is the M4 chip version with the 24 gigabytes of memory with the 512 storage. And I believe that this is going to be the perfect machine to help me be mobile and still continue to do my video editing work. And so Apple did allow for these two green pull tabs here, and you can actually see that we're going to go ahead and pull it because of the fact that we are not going to be using a unboxing knife. And so you can see how clean that peels off. And then over here, we have another pull tag, and we can actually go ahead and peel this off as well. But for consistency, let's go ahead and pull out our unboxing knife, and let's just go ahead and cut this little thing over here. There we go. And now we can unbox the MacBook Air. We're gonna flip it over, and then we're going to pull up on the top shell portion here. Super satisfying. You can see that there is nothing inside, and it's just going to be a shell for the box. Putting that aside, and have this little pull tab right here, which is going to allow for us to pull the MacBook out and then actually place it out somewhere so that way we can continue to unbox. Underneath the actual machine, we then have this little booklet thing here, obviously going to be paper manuals and things like that. I don't actually know what's included in here. It seems like it's just some small paper instructions. Again, I'm new to this, guys. I'm so sorry if I'm murdering this, but it looks like it's just some basic instructions. I'm actually probably going to read this. Next part we're going to look at is going to be, I'm assuming this is the charging brick. And so there's a little bit of a pull tab there. This is actually really Apple because it's nice and clean. It looks like there are two USB-C ports on top, so that's really cool. I'm quite curious to know how fast this is going to charge the MacBook, like what's the wattage? So I'm gonna have to look that up later. And then it looks like over here we have a braided cable for charging. So it looks like one of them is going to be USB-C and the other one is going to be some type of Apple proprietary magnetic connection. And so let's go ahead and undo this really quick. I am not familiar with this particular connection, so honestly, I don't know what to think. Okay, so there's nothing else in the box. Let's go ahead and put this aside so that way we can go ahead and unpeel the actual MacBook Air. Here we have the actual MacBook Air, and so this just looks beautiful. This is the midnight black, or whatever the black edition of the MacBook Air is. I would like to say that it is a little bit heavier than I was expecting. I was always assuming that MacBook Airs were like super light, but maybe I just had some type of false pretense. So as I peel that back, this just slides right off. And here is the gorgeous, oh my gosh, it's so nice. This is the midnight black or space black or whatever Apple is calling this color. So honestly, I thought that I would want the silver color. I'm just loving that kind of stealthy look. I did order some dBrand skins to place on top of this, so I will be installing that once I get that in. Continuing to look at the physical features of this MacBook Air, starting on the left-hand side, we have 2 USB-C ports, and that's going to be, I believe, Thunderbolt 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, I don't remember. These are going to be 2 USB-C ports for data transmission, and then for charging, we have this little proprietary Apple connection, which is going to be matching what we see here on the braided wire. I do want to state that the braided wire is really high quality, and I would expect it to be because this is a pretty expensive laptop. Looking on the right-hand side of the MacBook Air, we don't have any additional ports, but we do have one headphone jack. The backhand side, this is just a really thin device. At the bottom, we have 4 little rubber foot thingies that keep the laptop off of the actual desk. Something you won't actually find in this MacBook Air is going to be a fan. You can see that just looking around completely, it doesn't have any type of fan features. The MacBook Airs are really known for some of their thermal dissipation in their actual machines, and so I'm excited to see how that's going to play when it comes to video editing. All right, so let's go and open this thing up and see what it's all about. So it looks like we have a little bit of an indentation over here, so that's where we're actually going to open up the actual machine or the lid of the laptop, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up here, and wow, this is a really beautiful device. Oh, okay. There's some peel here, sticker. Oh no, it's not a sticker, it's just a little bit of a film. And I guess for MacBook computers, you actually, once you open up the lid, it just kind of turns on. All right, so right off the bat, I just want to say that this is a gorgeous laptop. As soon as I opened up the lid, I just really love the sleek designs, this kind of the symmetry of where the trackpad is. Just, I mean, look how big the trackpad is. And then the keyboard, I've heard some really good things about the keyboard. And so I'm excited to start typing on these computers because of the fact that I've heard a lot of hype for these actual keyboards. Okay, so this is a short video because I just wanted to unbox this for you all if you're considering getting the MacBook Air M4 edition. Again, this is my very first MacBook device, so I don't even know like what to expect in terms of just like logging in and setting things up. So that will be for a different video. I'm gonna come back with a review video after having used this for 1 month, so that way I can kind of share my experiences with you, some of the learning curves and some of the expectations versus what I actually received or what I do and don't like. Again, I've been using Windows machines for 30+ years. The only time I ever really touched a Mac computer is when I was at the actual Apple store playing around with the computers, trying to figure out what's all the hype about. And so back then I didn't really see a need for it. I really just thought it was just kind of a niche type consumer. But now that I'm doing YouTube, I hear that MacBooks and iMacs and what have you are really good for the creative individuals, like video editing or photo editing and things like that. So I am going to put this MacBook Air to the test. And again, in a month, I'm going to come back with a kind of lessons learned hot wash type video. I'll see you in the next one.